Oh,
We did.
seriously.
But I guess
You're giving all my credit stories away to someone else. You
well,
forget
that's what
I'm
happens
here.
when you go away for a week. Don't go away for a week.
You're leaving for a week.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, we're gonna take a vacation from the radio."
I don't know. I might do the reply. Dude, that's a lot of buttons.
I hit 2 and then drag.
Do your announcements.
All right. Well, let's see what we got here. Oh, by the pricking of my thumbs, something this way wicked comes. It's Macbeth. I had to look it up because I've never went and watched one. But yeah, that means that on May 4th, we've got Macbeth auditions.
Ooh, May 14th, something fun going down.
I'm not down there yet.
Hurry up.
So we got May 4th and May 5th at the Matt Theater at 7 p.m. There are auditions for Macbeth. So if you like that crazy kind of talking and you're into acting, there you go. What else we got?
Do they like change it so like the old English makes sense?
No.
See, that's my biggest issue with going to a play like that. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, that's it. Just it. Right? You're supposed to go there and want to slam your head against a table.
Stab yourself in the temple.
Unless you're very artistically educated.
You don't even know what they're saying half the time.
Yeah, but I'm not artistically educated.
Right.
My education's in digital. Oh yeah, so you want to do the 14th of May, the Eager Beaver Disc Golf Tournament at the Havre Trails is happening.
It's out in the Bear Paws, man.
Yeah, I mean, so if you want to take a Frisbee and chuck it as far as you can straight, I can. But yeah.
We'll have to try that one of these days.
Go some disc golf. I played it here.
I've never done golf before.
No?
I like golf.
I did it for a project in my sports psychology class. We had to play a sport that we had never played before. And I literally was like, well, I can't think of any. And then he said they've got Frisbee golf. I was like, well, I've thrown the Frisbee golf, but I've never actually tried to play it.
Right.
So I did that. We didn't finish. You get very frustrated. But yeah, that'd be fun. And
I believe it's a singles tournament, so.
Is it? I'm not good at singles tournament because then I rely just on myself.
Yeah, it's all about you.
I like to be carried.
I know my back's killing.
What is this on May 17th? The Circus Fantastic?
Oh, a circus?
Yeah, that's at the Great Northern Fairgrounds.
You take a kid?
Yeah, 4:30 p.m.
What day is like a Wednesday or Friday?
That's Tuesday.
Well, I ain't doing that because my daughter's got softball games on Tuesdays.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Hey, just up the street from you if you ever want to watch.
Oh, I will always watch
Just saying.
a friend's kid play.
You gonna put Persephone in softball?
If she wants to. I played it when I was young, but I've realized that being in Havre, when you're an adult and you want to play baseball of any kind, nobody will play.
Yeah, no one will ask us to play. Honestly, I'm not that bad.
I remember being pretty good at it. I was a pitcher. I only hit a couple people with the ball.
Yeah, well, I played baseball. I couldn't hit the ball when it was coming out really fast, but if you underhand that thing like they do in softball, I think I could get it.
Yeah, I don't.
We're just gonna keep throwing it out there that we are available.
Well, it's weird.
We're not ringers, right? We're just,
How do you know I'm not? You've never seen me play.
Yeah. I don't
Just
think so.
look at my gut.
Yep.
I
You look like the prototypical manager.
had my wellness check, thank you very much, like a week ago, and I went down and weighed again.
Says the guy who's scarfing down a bag of Doritos and drinking a soda.
Look at you.
I know. This is my kryptonite. Cinnamon candy. It's so good. Anywho.
Yeah, you told me you had some good.
I do. I got some great stories this week. Stuff to rant about, stuff to talk about. Feel free to pop up in the chat, which if you have something, we can rant about anything.
Oh yeah, we're on Facebook and YouTube.
We're on YouTube,
We're on Facebook, so you go to our Facebook, which is
Yeah.
Average Rants on Facebook, and then we have links directly to being able to see these cute mugs on YouTube.
Did you say we're cute?
Yeah, we are.
All right.
My wife is very attractive,
Mhm.
and
She's the only one watching.
if I was disgusting, then I don't think she'd be with me. So I've got to be kind of cute,
Gotta be something because it ain't for the money.
right?
All right. So, what do you want to talk about? I got some interesting facts here. I got a Carrie Ells story.
A what?
Carrie Ells, the guy who played in Princess Bride, who's the pirate king.
Okay, yeah.
Pirate guy or pirate.
Captain Roberts.
Oh yes. Take away my nerd card there for a minute.
I'm very cute.
Yeah, like I said, she's the only one watching. Something about a poor lady who's got into it. Yeah. But I think we're going to start with this one because we're hockey fans, sports fans, and I like this one. It's a feel-good story, not just about sports. It's about people going above and beyond their limits and people who have dreams and they want to live out their dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a goalie is a little close to me because I'm a goalie. I kind of tend to gear towards the goalies. An emergency backup goalie, Thomas Hodges, enters the game in an Anaheim Ducks loss. This happens at least once or twice a year where you have the emergency backup goalie. Every rink has one, just in case someone's team loses both their goalies and they need a goaltender. But what's interesting about this one is Thomas Hodges has been blind in one eye since he was 12 years old. And ever since he was 12, his dream was to play in the NHL. He played up until high school and a little bit after that. But he ended up getting together in an adult league like we run and was noticed by an ECHL scout who's like, you know what, you should just come and practice with us, right? A lot of times we don't have enough goalies. We like to have a couple goalies.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he made the EBOG, the emergency backup goalie for them, who also are the backups for, is also in Dallas. So he ended up getting to go in the other night and playing. I think he played only a few minutes, but he made like 8 saves. You know.
So I'm thinking he needs a jersey now that says Daredevil,
right? Like goalie, and I can say this, is hard. You cut off half of the ice when you don't have an eye. Like, I mean, that is so. I mean, you got to watch everything that's going on. And the best thing about this story that I find most interesting is like, he didn't care that he only had one eye. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna do what I can and live my dream. And he got to do it. He got to go play on NHL ice with NHL players.
Yeah. Now all we have to do is try to convince more people to come to our adult league,
right?
So that they have a chance to become a backup goalie for an NHL team.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, they come by randomly,
Mm-hmm.
so we just don't know when.
Well, the cool thing is, like, both teams congratulated him. Like, he was on, he was the emergency backup goalie in Dallas. What that means is you play for either team. If either team loses their goalies, it doesn't matter what stadium you're playing for the opposite team. The Marlies had it happen a couple of years ago, or not the Marlies, but the Leafs had it happen a few years ago, where their emergency backup goalie beat them. But yeah, and even the team, his opposing team, congratulated. They gave him hugs and everything, and it's just really cool to see that happened. Like, the guy got to live out his dream. Maybe it was only like 5 minutes, but you know what? That's 5 minutes he'll never forget.
And I would take 5 minutes to live my dream.
Just to say you got to step on the ice for any professional hockey team.
Well, I never really had the dream of playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been there.
Oh, really? I think so.
As a Canadian, you have expectations that you understand you won't be there when it comes to NHL, because there is just so much.
It's hard to get in the NHL.
Wow.
But yeah, that's just like a happy, like, don't let anybody tell you can't do anything because you're physical limitations or mental limitations. You can do anything you want to. You just got to go for it.
Do you know how much he made?
A lot more than he.
So emergency backup goalies get $4,000 per day. So anytime they are at the rink waiting, knowing that they'll never really play, are making $4,000.
But the cool thing is the E-Bugs get to practice with the team.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun.
So essentially, he is part of the team. He's just not a rostered player.
See, for myself, I guess when it came to like high competition, because I mean I played fairly high, and I was one of those. You know how you get the syndrome of you're like, what's going on? You're playing against the last place team. Why are you guys playing so poorly?
Mm-hmm.
I was very much a person that played to the level of my opponent.
I do that all the time.
So it was fun when I was younger and I moved up because I was like, oh, these guys aren't that good. But I remember, you get told, you're like, why don't you play like this normally? I'm like, I play differently. You just don't notice it.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, like, if you could go to an NHL practice and go into one of those, how different it would be. Because those guys are like the cream of the top.
Like the NHL players now, you can hear all those guys that have retired, like the Wayne Gretzky's and all those guys. They're like, they couldn't play now. The amount of talent that's in the league now is even better than it was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It is insane. Technology has changed everything.
Well, it's not the cream of the crop, though, because they're missing two players that are doing the radio.
Right. Yeah. I'm the cream of the crop when it comes to, yeah.
Hey, you filled in for us at an upper level.
And we lost.
And sure, we were in a shutout situation with a goalie that was so drunk he couldn't stand up. But
That guy made more saves than I did, and he was laying down.
I don't think they were trying to score because
They hit him in the face.
yeah, they were scared to hurt him.
Anyway, so that's a fun story. On the opposite of that, you have what happened to the poor Panthers when they put in. Now that guy's dream, yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy was like super excited that he got to play, but I don't think it turned out the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, losing 10-2.
So the Panthers, just so everybody knows, they have locked in their playoff spot. They can't go any further. They can't get any better. They can't get any worse in their playoff spot. So they're like, you know what? We're not going to hurt our goalies. We're going to bring up a guy who's in our scouting program, and we're going to bring him up and let him get some ice time. He got ice time, and the last place team in the league got lots of goals, 10 of them. I mean, it's great he got to play, but I don't know how, for me as a goalie, I don't know how good that is for his confidence. Confidence to a goaltender is extremely important.
Yeah,
But I'm sure the guy's happy. He got to play in he played in NHL games before. He's been in like 6 games.
I mean, he would have made like $4,000 for that.
But he wasn't an E-Bug. He was actually brought up, so he probably made more than that.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I mean, I think the minimum is like there's probably a contract minimum where they play a game, they get a minimum of like $25,000 or something.
Yeah, there is some kind of minimum thing.
Because the NFL has that too.
The
The minute you're signed and you play, you make a minimum amount, and then per game. So
I want to see how many shots were on that game.
it was a lot. I think he faced like 50 shots.
Was it? Because I mean that judges it too. Like if you have a goalie there.
Yeah.
39
shots.
Almost 40.
Or he had 37 shots against, right? Because the Canadians had 37 on
Oh,
goal.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, and
That's
he
still
let
a
in,
fair bit, especially for a green goalie.
He let in 10. So.
Well, looks like my grandmother is listening it again.
Woo! Hello, Barry's grandma.
Yeah, she's like 3'2". So my favorite thing to always do with my grandma was you walk up to her and I'd be like, "Grandma," and then I'd be like, "Hold on a second." I'd go down on my knees.
So, ready to go on to the next one? We did our hockey thing. We talked hockey. Playoffs start next week, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Saying,
Playoff party.
right?
I only go to Toronto playoff parties.
So this is something I would never notice because, well, I don't have one or never needed one. But have you ever noticed that there's almost always a little tiny bow on the front of women's bras?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you ever know what that's for?
It's to
It serves
draw my attention.
It serves a purpose. And what's funny is that most women never really pay much attention. They don't really realize what its actual purpose is. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really tell you what side the front because that's pretty obvious what side the front is.
Wait, is it when you can't get them off the back, you can pull the front bow?
No, but that would be useful because in the millions and the hundreds of years those things have been around, they can't find an easier clasping system.
Well, I'm actually very talented.
My wife's like, Mike, and it's off. I'm like, how do you do that? Like,
I used to.
I can't even hold it in my hand without it on and unclasp it.
When Sammy and I were younger, we'd be like out somewhere, and I would be like, "Hey," and I'd rub her back and pop it off, and she'd be like, "What?"
So, but anyway, there is a reason for it. It started. Let me get back here. In the old days, when women wore corsets, there was a piece of whalebone called a busk. It was inserted in a sheath down in front of the corset and tied in place with a bow. The busk is gone now, but the bow remains.
So its purpose is to remind us that there was a whalebone there?
That's what it was used to tie. Yeah, because they would wear the corset and then the thing would be on top and they would tie together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the bow was for. And over the years, they just kept the bow but lost everything else.
Huh.
Little fashion knowledge there. Like, I don't, that's why there's a little bow.
Now I'm just trying to think of all the ones that have bows on them.
Now you can't picture one without a bow on it.
Well, I know there's a pink one that has a bow. I like the pink one. I don't think the bows were probably that small though. Back in.
I don't know.
Because they're only like, for those people out there that haven't seen them.
Just wait till you do.
It'll happen.
Right? But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, I saw the story. I'm like, huh. I mean, I've seen it. It just never dawned on me that it's. I just thought it was aesthetic. Like,
we're usually not caring about the little bow.
Mm-mm. So anyway,
I do. Now that you mention it, there is a little bow.
Look at that. But I mean, you're like, oh, I guess.
How many girls right now listening? Probably just one or two.
They looked down their shirt to see if there was a bow. There is a bow.
And then they're going through all their stuff. Like, you're right. It's everywhere.
So, then the next story I have, this lady had a bad day.
Uh-oh.
She dropped her phone into a toilet.
Okay.
Not just any toilet. One of the ones like you got to go out into the mountains and stuff, like
the outhouse?
The outhouse. And while trying to retrieve it, she went a little too deep.
She fell
into the toilet. Like, to me, I'm just like, my phone's insured. And it's probably not going to work after I get it out of there anyway.
Well, this brings up like the other thing too is why do you need to use it when you're?
I actually had this discussion with my wife the other day. We were driving down the road, and I'm like, it baffles me, like how often I'm on my phone. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'll be sitting there, I'll be doing something on my phone, and I'll look up like, I've been on my phone for the last 25 minutes. Doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point where, like, I remember when I was growing up.
What productive could I have done? What production could I have gotten done if I went on my phone for the last 25 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, like, growing up, they'd make fun of me because I play video games.
You still play video games?
I'm not saying that.
I said, no, you worded that like you're like, I used to play video games, but I don't.
I'm still hardcore.
Oh, I know.
But then my retaliation was always, well, how much TV do you watch? Because I don't watch TV.
Right.
And it was always like, well, that's different. I'm like, so something that you can just sit there and mindlessly stare at,
My thumb-eye coordination is ridiculous.
right? But I don't know. I'm actually at the point where I use my phone a fair bit, but you know, for a fact
Whenever
that
you want
I-
to know something, though, you're like, I better check that out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I check my phone because information has never been so close before.
Well, that's the other problem that we run into because, I mean, you and I grew up needing to use an encyclopedia, then using a CD-ROM.
Dictionary.
And
You think I'd be really good at looking stuff up in a book, knowing the alphabet, because I grew up that way? No, I still. I gotta go to the D's and win the G's, moron.
yeah. But I think like we're having trouble with a lot of youth nowadays that they just think that information should just come.
Right.
It just should be there.
It has its uses. It really does. Like, you can learn how to do anything on YouTube. I mean, my wife changed a strut on our pickup because of a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Like 15, 20 years ago, you would be like, I don't know what to do. Because, you don't want to start pulling crap off without knowing what it does.
Well, how many times did you see somebody that you knew? Like for me, it was my dad working on a car, swearing. That's where I got all my swear words from, was watching my dad
Sure,
working on a
blame
car.
your dad.
Well, it was. Like, I still, because he was like, I don't know how to do this, but I've got to fix it. We
Right.
can't afford to get somebody else to.
Right.
So he would just jump in there, and eventually he'd be like, yeah, I fixed it. And then like a week later, something else would blow up because he forgot to put something on.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm like, I love the fact that the information is right there. It is super useful. But sometimes we just get a little too I mean, and in part, I think it's taken away from our problem solving abilities. Like, instead of taking a second, looking at it, and going, you know what, I think I could solve this, we go right to the information.
Yeah. I really just hate phones for the people expect an answer even from another person,
Right.
like instantly.
Oh, it gives me spam. Spam
Well,
texts.
How often do you message me and then like the next day?
It's
I'm
usually
like,
because you're sleeping.
Yeah, but I mean, I forget about my phone.
I'm the only person who likes you. You should answer me all the time.
But then I seem too needy.
That's true. The best was though, when I messaged you that day at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was napping." When you responded back
I
at
didn't
4
see
o'clock.
what time.
Yeah,
it
4
was
o'clock. I'm like, "You've been napping since 9? You sent that at 9?"
I don't know. I don't know. I went through, like, my wife and I talked about it. We've been like laying back on our phones for a while now. It's been nice because we're talking to each other more. We're having more like family dinners where we don't have our phone, and we're both looking at each other. So like, if I'm doing it when we're not supposed to, she'll be like, "Excuse me."
Right.
And it's nice to have that, somebody on the same page. But it's been really nice, and I don't know. I just don't like when I was a kid. I remember I would call my buddy at his house. They wouldn't pick up the phone, and then you would go, "Oh, well, maybe they're outside, so I'm gonna go
Drive by their house or ride
I'd
past their
like
house or
ride my
whatever.
bike over to their house," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, there they are." Then we'd be hanging out. But now it's like, oh, they haven't texted me back in 5 minutes. Then they're either a jerk,
Right.
or
They're ignoring you or
Yeah.
they hate you. No, that's not the case. They're just not attached to their phone.
But that's the only thing. I hate.
Which most people are. Like, I got into the conversation while we were in the vehicle. I'm like, remember how we used to get a hold of people? We would drive what's called the cruise, which was you drive down Fifth Avenue, go to First Street, drive down to Pizza Hut, turn around and do it again. And you go all the way down to the church.
And everyone's in that area usually.
Yeah, and you pass their car and you know who they were. Or at the 6th Avenue ballpark, there used to be a parking lot back there that everybody would hang out in. And then there was the Taco John's across the street. Oh my God, you guys, I'm dating myself here. Like, that hasn't been there in like over a decade. But yeah, and that's like, people are like, how did you get a hold of me? I'm like, man, you just had to either go to their house and drive around and look for them. You cram as many as your buddies as you could in your tiny little car and just cruise around and try and find people.
Yeah. I don't know.
Gas was like $1.10 a gallon.
I think my biggest pet peeve with phones though is I hate when I'm hanging out with someone and they keep looking at their phone. Like that. It doesn't like if there's like a ding and you know that it's like their wife.
One of the best things that I did is I got a smartwatch.
Yeah.
So I can look at my watch and, oh, that's not important.
But I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've went and, this was you guys, but I've went and I've hung out with people and we've been playing games. And there's been, like, one person out of, say, like 6 that are there. That the whole time you're like, it's your turn. It's your turn. Well, what do I have to do? Well, maybe if you put your phone down, you'd know. But they're, like, either watching videos or they're on Facebook. And I'm just like, phones to me have literally taken social interaction and threw it out the window.
They call it social media, but there's nothing really social about it.
Well, it's not. It's you and I have played games.
Right.
You played an online game before.
Yeah.
Right? And what are people like online? They are like horrible to each other.
Yeah.
And it's because there's that wall.
And you can't do anything to me.
Yeah, like so even with like Facebook and stuff, it's easier for me to like if I was mad at you, say something over Facebook than it is for me to sit in front of you and say it. So I feel like that's what it's caused is it's brought out the like evil.
You're a tough guy online, but you know, right?
That's why like if you said something to me that I was mad at, I wouldn't respond. I'd let you know that I looked at it, and then you'd be like, "Come on, what are you gonna say?" And then I'd just knock on your door.
Right.
I'd be like, "What is this?"
Dropping gloves, dude.
I wouldn't drop. I'm not a fighter.
Yeah. Depends on what I said, right?
I don't know. I like to mentally destroy people, not physically.
Destroy you with my mind. Yeah. Not hard. I'm pretty weak-minded.
That's why we can hang out,
right? So, well, yeah. I mean, like I said, they have their ups and their downs. See, without my phone, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to be looking at my computer right now to look up all these stories.
Think of the stories that we could tell without your phone, though, because we would be up doing more if we didn't have the electronics.
Well, none of the stories are really pertaining to around here. Although a big tree did blow over a couple weeks ago.
Well, probably everybody knows about that, except for me, because I don't know any of the news that happens in Havre. I don't know how many times you've been like, "Hey, did you go to the fair?" I'm like, "There's a fair."
Right. I didn't know that the Secret Service and the FBI had a grudge match hockey game every year.
Is that what she's? No.
It's your wife. I'll let you talk about it.
Well, I'd have to read it while I look at it.
Read faster.
I am not getting an English degree.
That's obvious. I've seen you text.
Yeah, I know. Well, the FBI won, it looks like. What was it? The FBI won a hard-fought game tonight against the longtime hockey rivals, the United States Secret Service. That was on Saturday. And the annual charity match that is expected to raise $20,000 for the family of fallen law enforcement officers. Well, that's kind of nice. But it is kind of funny, though, when you think about it. It's like the FBI won a hard-fought game against the United States Secret Service. Guaranteed nobody knows the names of those players.
Well, here's the thing that I find kind of interesting, and I don't know this for sure. I know a guy in town I could ask, but don't you have to be like an FBI, go to law enforcement training, work your way up like through the FBI, and then go to the Secret Service? Isn't there like a ladder or a chain you have to go through? You just can't go from like I'm a cop to Secret Service.
I almost feel like they're two different entities. So you.
Well, they are two different, but I mean, what I'm saying is like you have to apply to be a part of the Secret Service, and I'm pretty sure you have to apply to be part of the FBI as well.
Yeah.
But I think if once you get the FBI, you can then apply to be Secret Service. I don't know. I'm just curious on that.
We might be finding it.
Well, your wife just told me there's different agencies, which I already knew. I just like because you have to apply to be a part of one or the other.
Yeah. So my guess is because I know Canada has we have like our FBI is our CMP. It's like our first.
The Royal.
And you come apply to that, but we also do have like a Secret Service, but you just apply to it.
Yeah.
But they're usually two different things, right? So.
Well, I was just wondering, like, it's like, well, I was a member of the FBI, but now I jumped into the Secret Service.
Well, you could, you could, like, I mean, how?
I was just wondering if that was one of the routes, the best route to take. Is like, if you go to the FBI, then you're probably giving yourself a bit of a shoe to get into.
You bring up an interesting point, though. Do you think
that's where the rivalry came?
Do you think that they were using some of their funding to spy on each other? No, like that's what I would do. If I had a hockey game against, like, if I was in the Secret Service and we were playing in the FBI, to mess with them, we would send like agents secretly to watch their things, and like you videotape a bit of their practice, and then you leave it in their change room so they know you've been watching.
Could be.
That's what I do.
So, on another, so there's that hockey news. More hockey news. For you movie lovers out there, and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Princess Bride. Fantastic movie, like amazing.
You killed my fun.
Right, one of the greatest. I mean, it's got some of the best lines ever in it, and but the actor, Carrie Ells, who was actually for that movie, became an expert swordsman. He trained and trained. He's actually an expert swordsman, which is really cool. So he actually knows how to use.
That's method acting.
No kidding. And it actually showed up a little bit when he did Robin Hood Men in Tights as well. Like he does a little bit with the sword balance. But he's actually an expert swordsman. But apparently, he was hospitalized recently due to a rattlesnake bite.
Well, it's because you didn't have a sword with him.
Right, yeah. It was life-threatening. Don't pick up snakes, people. We get snakes around here. Don't pick them up if you don't know what they are. In fact, even if you know what it is, it's best to just leave it alone.
Well, I mean, for the people that want to pick up snakes, the reason why they're called rattlesnakes is because when you pick them up and shake them, they make noises.
Not all of them. The younger baby ones don't make noise.
No, because you got to pick them up and shake them.
Oh, right.
And there's always going to be a noise. It's either going to be a scream.
But it doesn't say. It doesn't say exactly what he was doing or what, but he got bit on the hand. A lot of times this happens when you bend down to pick something up in like long grass, or you pick something, they're underneath something, they get you. But
your lawn.
Right. He where I live, next to that big field, I've had snakes in the yard before, the little gardener snakes or rat snakes, whatever you want to call them. Never seen a rattlesnake before.
No, I've only seen dead ones around here because of like when we went golfing. I've seen one. Were you with me that day that there was a dead one? I thought it was alive, so I kept rolling balls at it and hitting it to see if it would move.
Oh, yeah.
And then it wouldn't move, so then I went over with a club and threw the corpse into the
ditch. Always search for your golf ball with a club in your hand just in case. But yeah. He it was funny because when he took to Twitter to show off proof of his finger, a photo of his finger, people are like, "Oh, did you get bit by a rouse?" Which is the big scary rodents in the movie.
Rodents of unusual size.
Rodents of unusual size, yeah, which is an anagram for rodents. Yeah, but yeah. So he's okay.
Now we should get on his Twitter. Be like from average rants and just start putting like quotes to him.
I don't know what this could have been a few weeks ago, but I don't know what actually. But I was like, oh, I like April 25th, so not that long, a little over a week, about a week. But he's fine and dandy.
So on a different note, why aren't we going golfing, man? You keep bragging about going golfing. But
I don't brag about going golfing.
You're like, oh, we could have went golfing the other day, but I had to pull out a bush. Or
I pulled out like a bunch of rebar today. I'm trying to get all that done so I can go golfing. I'll go golfing.
I can see you now. You get all done. I can't. I'm tired. I got to work. I have like 3 months off.
Yeah, get warmed up. I'm coming to kick your butt this year.
I shot 47 last
year. Yeah, I've never shot below 56, so you're okay.
No, we'll get you there. It's the competition that drives us. Although I did shoot the week before that like a 60 or something.
No, my in-laws got me a sweet new golf bag, so I'm pretty stoked about using it.
Well, I didn't get that golf bag from you.
Oh. Well, you know where it's at.
Yeah. I just needed to put some of the other clubs that I've got so that.
Good, then I don't have to store the goddamn thing.
I don't even keep it. I just need it for like a month.
Yeah, well, it's a month, then I don't have to store it. So here's something a little close to home for you.
Ooh.
Yeah. We know all the different types of medicines, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the natural medicines, I don't know what you don't call them now. How are like prescribed medications that come in pill form not natural?
Well, because a scientist makes them. A natural one is like a plant that you just ground down and drink in a tea or something.
Anyway, Canadian doctors are prescribing free passes to national parks for people.
And you wonder why I miss home.
You didn't have to stay.
Have you ever been to Canada's Wonderland?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so it is like our Disneyland. And it is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Especially
was it like poutine and maple syrup everywhere?
No, but they have a giant mountain that you can take a ride through in mine carts.
Nice.
But it's like it is our Disneyland or Disney World, whatever.
You got to get over to Kalispell.
I've been over to Kalispell.
Right? Not when it's not 15 below zero and
Is
10
there
billion.
any other time? Why do you go there when it's not that
In the
cold?
summertime, go over to Glacier Park. Go through the park. It's really nice over there.
Is there like a hockey rink?
You're hopeless. Anyway, they prescribe it for kids or for people who have for anything really, like diabetes to high blood pressure, ADHD, anxiety, depression. Apparently, just being outside in nature in a nice area just calms you down, which I can. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I like being outside.
I mean, one of my favorite things so people that have depression, do you know what the best medication is for it?
A dog.
Doing something.
Get a dog.
If you know that you have depression and you sit at home
Mm-hmm.
and stay in your depression, it just gets worse. But if those people go, and I mean, I've been there randomly where you're just so ugh. But as soon as you go like cut the grass, you feel a little bit better.
Hey, you want to come cut my grass? You look a little depressed.
I'd rather go golfing.
Just saying.
You know, I know you would prefer to destroy beautiful lilac bushes.
Yeah.
I love lilac.
You know, it was crazy. I was cutting those down with my chainsaw. I could actually smell the lilac as it's cut, and I'm like, wow. Like even the wood smells like lilac.
So what you're saying is, while you were murdering the lilac bushes, you're like,
You can't murder those things.
I can smell your lilac.
I can tell you right now, like there's no way to get rid of those things. You just got to keep cutting them down. They're ridiculous.
Well, and you can't pull the roots in because you think they're wrapped around.
No, I don't think, because I know, because a guy came through to mark all the gas lines and electrical lines because they were putting in an electrical box, so they had to know where all the lines and everything were. And all the lines run right underneath my lilac bushes. And he's like, I see you pulled up one, because I'd already pulled one up. He's like, I would be very, very careful about pulling up anymore because your gas line and your electrical lines are run right underneath them. And I'm like, thank you.
I would have risked it.
Right? The ones I did pull up, they went like 3 feet deep.
Well, I mean, if you pulled it out, the lilac smell would cover the gas.
Right.
So you'd never know.
Then what would like soothe the burns?
It'll just don't have a bonfire.
Don't have a bonfire. So
Oh yeah, we're probably gonna have a bonfire. Well, we're gonna get one of those little what do you guys call them? I've never really seen them. The little fire pit things, the metal ones.
it's called a fire pit.
That's just all it's called. It's not like doesn't have like a special name.
Fire pit?
Okay, because a fire pit to me is you dig a hole.
A fire pit is anything you put a fire
So you can make a fire pit in your house.
in. You could. I wouldn't recommend it.
So what's a chimney?
No.
Because it's a fireplace.
A chimney.
So what's the difference between a fire pit and a fireplace?
Fireplace is in your house because it's vented outside.
So if I took,
You could put a fire pit in your living room. Unfortunately, it ain't going to vent anywhere.
but would it be called a fireplace then?
No.
If it's in your place.
No, because it's not a place. A fireplace is a designated place to light a fire in your house. A fire pit is a designated place to light a fire outside. I would just call it a mobile fire pit.
We could patent that.
No, we couldn't. But
Why not? We just put a warning: open windows.
right.
They cause house to be smoky.
So, and another tidbit for everybody out there: there were 32 millionaires over the weekend. 32 new millionaires, because the NFL draft was held this last week.
Ah, stupid.
32 kids under the age of 25 years old are now millionaires. There are 32 more millionaires every year.
And it ain't us.
I was never talented enough. I don't know. I know hockey doesn't have that many millionaires every year. They get a little different.
Well, hockey, your starting salary, I think, is $750.
Even for a first-round draft pick who gets signed right up to the NHL.
You're not allowed to make any more. And then your next year, you can renegotiate based on your stats.
Make bank.
So that's what happened with Matthews, because he was making the minimum, and then the next year he got
Bank.
total goals, so then he signed a contract for $11 million a year for like 10 years or something.
Right. The max contract for a rookie, they finally capped it. There for years, the NFL didn't have a max rookie contract, so they could pay it just what. And here's the thing about the NFL, and the difference in football is a lot of times you don't get a chance when you draft a player, you don't get a chance to send him down to the minors and see how he does, and is he going to pan out in the NFL? They don't have that. Like baseball and hockey, they're like, well, you're drafted, but you're going to go play in the ECHL or the little lower leagues, and you dominate down there. You're doing great. We're going to bring you right back up, and you're going to be part of our team. The NFL doesn't have that, so it's kind of like you're just taking a shot. Like, is this guy going to pan out? There were years where guys were signing $60, $70 million contracts, and they were awful. Like they play like 2 games and they never panned out. They busted. Now, don't get me wrong, there are those guys that don't bust, but the more often than not, they never live up to their contract number.
Yeah.
But now it's the max. The max they can make is 5 years, $30 million, I think, or $35 million. So maximum,
ridiculous.
But that's like $5 million a year is max.
It's just a lot of money.
Well, think about baseball players. I mean, the last contract I think of was like a $300 million contract for like 10 years.
I think that. So, I was watching like some football highlights because I like some of the big hits and stuff like that. It's kind of fun to watch. I just don't like the whole game. But
actually, if you get like NFL Game Pass, when they cut out all the
I didn't mind that
garbage.
Red
Zone.
I didn't mind when we were at your place and you were watching that, because then you're just watching.
Well, the minute it goes to nothingness, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna cut away to a different game and watch some action."
But the thing that I thought was really funny was I was watching one, and it was kind of showing the play, but then it showed the guys on the sideline, and there's a guy like just sweating, panting. He's so extremely tired. And then I was like, man, I was watching a hockey game the other day, and the guys are joking and not dying on the bench. And I was like, they really need to work on their cardio. Because I feel like I'm probably wrong, but I feel like I'm not. I feel like football players are built for burst. So they're not built for the long.
It would depend on the position, I would say.
Because you're going to have your running backs. Is that the receivers?
And the receivers, those poor guys, especially if you're we've called a running play, but you have to run a route to sell the run, right? Yeah. You're so they got to run 15 or 20 yards downfield 4 times.
Because those guys run a lot, but I mean, you see some of those big guys.
But your corners, think about it. Your offensive linemen and defensive linemen, they're constantly trying to push through each other. And you get a 40-second break between each play. I can tell you right now, having played both sports, the cardio for football and the cardio for hockey are 2 completely different things.
So, I played rugby, but rugby is a continuous unless the ball goes out of bounds.
And honestly, I think it's probably about even with the amount of, because your average NFL play lasts about 6 to 8 seconds. So if you think about it, what's the average ice time of an NHL skater? He's out there for a minute? And if he's going full tilt that whole minute, he's exhausted when he gets off. He is just, ugh. So, an NFL player were to run, they only run 6 to 8 seconds at a time, and then the play's over.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Maybe you and I both know that running takes a lot more energy than skating.
Unless you suck at skating.
Yeah. But if you're good at skating in 3 quick strides, you are going.
Yeah.
right? Now you just got to remember that to run, you have to keep those strides going. You just can't coast after you get to a certain speed.
No, it's just I don't know. I just kind of always like.
And not
a
to,
hockey game.
well, and not to mention like a lot of NFL players or football players, well, even basketball. These are 200-pound, 300-pound men running, and they are more athletic than.
Hey, we know what that's like.
I'm not fast.
No, I'm just saying 300-pound men trying to run.
I've never been 300 pounds. Thank God.
Last time I was for my wellness thing, I was 196.
If I hit 300 bills, yeah, I gotta get off the couch.
I'll move the chips off of the couch, and you have to get.
That's how I do sit-ups, is to get the remote. I that's a nice thing. We live a fairly active lifestyle. We like sports. We like to go out in the mountains and camping and walking and hiking. So
Yeah, I'm planning on doing some camping this summer. My kid's at that age where.
we're gonna sleep outside in the dirt.
Well, I mean, one thing that I was going to do.
You can do it in the backyard.
Well, I was just going to say I was going to
Start
invite
small.
Aurora to come over. and
Oh,
they could
Aurora
have
loves
a-
it.
They
You
could
guys
have a
got-
little sleepover in the
You
backyard.
guys got a tent? Yeah. Aurora loves sleeping outside in the tent. I'm like, do you have an air mattress or a cot you can lay down? Because I'm too old to sleep in the dirt. I hurt getting up in the morning off my nice $800
You guys
mattress.
don't bring a tiller when you're going camping?
Right?
You
You
till the
can't-
dirt underneath it?
You've been up in the bear paws? You can't till that. That's concrete.
No, that's cow patties.
And concrete.
Yeah.
The river rock and all that stuff underneath it.
I think if we go camping, I'm making sure it's someplace away from cows.
Well, there are no cows out there usually.
Yeah, but they have leftovers sometimes.
They're usually gone by midway through though. Burn them. They burn really well. It's just grass.
Just burn the poop.
No, that's what they
That's
The
what we use
settlers-
for kindling.
the settlers used to do.
I ain't a settler, Derek.
You are now.
Well, technically, yeah. Came from another country.
Yep.
Came down here, but I didn't build a house. Sorry, house.
I didn't say it.
You looked at me. I could see it. I could see the Canadian hate in your eyes.
There was no Canadian hate. It's just the house.
I don't feel like I say it any different.
You
House.
wouldn't. Why would you?
House, house,
House. I don't know.
house. Is that more American?
I don't know. You talk how you want to talk, man.
You know, when you hang around me a lot, you start saying, hey.
I know. Sometimes I do it on purpose, and sometimes I don't.
And we sing Bryan Adams. So,
Only while doing construction projects.
yes. I do have to do my bathroom again.
Yay. Why are you looking at me like that? You know how to do it.
Yeah, but it's so much better. when
I'm
you do it yourself.
gonna help you out the way you helped me. Here. There. Now you can
Did
do
I
it.
not cut things and then we handed it slowly through
Through your window?
the window?
We did. While I was singing Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Your bathroom looked good.
Looks good.
Is it still looking good?
Yeah.
See? We did that,
It functions. It doesn't leak or anything.
right?
That's what I'm talking
You're
about.
welcome.
You're welcome. I watched you do it all.
Yeah. So I helped you.
You did.
I just didn't want to. It's one of those things like when I'm working on something. So like when I was doing my one in the basement, I had a guy help me, and he ended up like doing almost everything on the bottom, and it made me be like, well, now I can't say that I did this.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that feeling.
Oh, thank you.
So I was like, I wanted you.
I can totally look at my shower now and go, you know what? I can know what I would change
Mhm.
and do differently because there's certain parts of it that I just don't like. I'm like, I don't like that part. I think I could do that better now. Which, for those of you out there who've never done a shower, once you've done once the tile is in, it's in there.
Yeah.
So once you stick it, it's stuck forever unless you break it all out and do it again.
Yeah.
But no, the most important thing is it functions, it looks decent, and it works.
And you did it, Derek.
I did do it.
But I mean, at the same time, what was I gonna do? Like when you and
No,
I,
dude, that the bathroom was way too tiny for both of us to be in the
well,
shower.
it was
at the
kind
same
of
time.
funky when we were both on our knees trying to get the grout in
Right.
because it was drying so quick.
Right.
We were trying to
That was bad. I should have went with a different grout, but that's one of the things. Like you don't know until you go, a different route. But now I know.
Well, didn't we forget to put some chemical in that
Mm.
one grout?
No.
I thought you said there was something we missed
Mm-mm.
because that stuff was so thick.
Yeah, they said. No, I didn't miss anything. That's just the way that grout was.
Oh.
It's a nice grout though.
Well, it did look good. It was just a pain in the butt to get in
Right.
the cracks.
Yeah. So, but it looks good. It worked.
But yeah, no, because I've got to remove the tub and make a whole new shower.
Yay!
I was thinking of making like another custom one that's like amazing.
Oh, you cut out the pan and everything for that.
You know how I like doing that.
Mm-hmm. It's art for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's the thing too. Like you look at your shower and you can notice all the problems.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I'm like that with everything I do when it comes to like my art. So that's why I have Sammy.
You know the worst part is like when you're doing something, and you're like, "Oh, that looks really nice," and you look at it, look close, like, "Oh, there's a deep. I can fix that," and you make it look worse. You're like, "God, why did I just leave it?" Like I'm sure, as a guy who's painted like little miniatures and sculptures and paintings, like you've done that before. You're like, I should have just left it. I should have left it.
Well, do you want to know? I call those from a good friend of mine, happy little accidents.
Like it looked really good before. I'm like, I can make it look just a little bit better. And then I go in for that last second touch. No, why did I do it?
Well, the big problem I have is like I've got so many minis to paint right now, and the thing is even when I paint them quick, and I'm like, no, this could be better, and then it's not quick anymore because I get more into it again. But I was actually looking, and I might get some. They have speed paints now. You heard of those?
Mm-mm.
It's like this new thing where you can get really cool looking minis, but the way that the paint is it's
Is it like a paint by number with the water where you like just touch it and it turns a color?
no, it's so you paint it on a miniature that I like printed, and the way that it paints is, have you ever seen a wash? So a wash is like a watered down paint, so that when you paint it, it goes into the cracks and makes a darker shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made paints like that. So when you paint it on, it'll kind of spread in all the cracks, and then you let it dry, and then you wash a different color over another section, and you can paint really quick. And if you get decent at it, they look pretty good. They'd be good for not like main bosses or something really detailed you wanted to do, but they'd be good for like if you're making a tavern scene for your friend who's playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Because then they're painted enough that people are like, oh, cool, but not so detailed that you're like, I'd buy that. But just because I need to figure out how to paint a whole bunch, since we're going to be starting a tabletop one too.
When?
Probably aim for the weekends that we're not doing.
Yeah, you've been saying that for months.
I said once I was done school.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like done school in like a week.
There you go. Get on
Done.
it. Done.
Just might have some gray miniatures.
I played for years with my imagination, so.
Yeah, that's weird.
Is it though?
No, I've never used my imagination playing Dungeons and Dragons.
It's because you haven't been around long. You haven't played long enough to use your imagination.
I am my character. I'm a method D&D player.
I feel bad for like the DM that had to DM a group with you and I as players.
Tyler had to,
I know.
and you can tell he was like, that's
Because
why.
one of us knows the game well enough, and the other one's method acting. And you're like, oh.
I had so much fun when it was you, me, and Sammy.
My wife was there too.
Was she playing that one?
Yeah.
With the pirates?
Yeah. Remember, she was gone. She played online too.
Oh yeah.
She was in Denver.
But I mean, like that was just so much fun to just be random and do that. That I want somebody else to be the DM so that we could mess with them. Because it just made it so good.
See what I like to do when I'm like, people get really nervous about. And this is the fun thing. Like, this is my best part. The best part about D&D. Like, you tell people you play D&D, isn't that like a nerdy thing? Why don't you tell people? And they're like, either like really scared to admit that they do it. And it's like, why are you scared to do it? Like, are you scared to be an athlete? Are you scared to be an actor? Are you scared to be whatever you are? You are what you are, right? And so they come and play, and they're like, I'm just so nervous. I don't want to look stupid in front of all these people who are here playing imaginary Dungeons and Dragons. So my favorite thing to do with a new player is I'll get really deep into the role playing, and I'll be like, and I'll start talking to them as the character, and they just go, and I'll start talking to them like a character would. Like that character I had our last game. That she was like the innkeeper lady. She talked like the Agent 1 from Monsters.
Oh yeah.
The really deep, gravelly voice.
Kavsky.
Yeah, I start talking like that to them, and they just don't know how to respond. Like, what are you doing? Why? They're like, you can't get any weirder than me right now.
Oh, I could.
You could, but the average person couldn't. But I don't expect everybody who sits down at my table to do that. You don't need to change your voice. You don't need to do it. You don't even have to talk as your character if you don't want to. If you just want to explain what you want to do, that's great. But I like people to, and I find what really helps this is alcohol.
Oh man, I would love. That's why I want to play table.
It brings down that everybody walks around with that mask on. Like, I can't show certain parts of me that, this is who I am, but I don't want to, put myself out there. And this is why actors usually do well at tabletop gaming, because they've done it their whole lives.
Yeah. I don't know. Nothing will ever take away you trying to stab a guy in the back, missing, and then running down the hill. It's
the dice, man. I can't.
No, but the running down the hill towards us, screaming, they're coming. And we're like, how far away are we? Well, he's got about 3 rounds before he can make it. And then
I missed.
Yeah, but then I tried to save you when I'm half the size of you. I have my big shield wall.
Yeah, it's good times.
That's why I want to play again. Everybody's getting so busy. So I finally made a deep character story. I barely got to touch it.
Just once. And you almost died.
Yep, and I still didn't break what I wanted to do.
See, there you go. Hold it in.
That's right. It's almost that time.
Yeah. Did we get anything ranty today? Did we rant about anything?
The weather sucks.
It did. It went from, like, yesterday was awesome and beautiful. Like, I didn't count on it being that nice yesterday. That's why I was going to do the bushes. I'm like, it's going to suck outside. I might as well be working. And then I'm out there doing it. I'm like, it is so nice out today.
You were like, I could be golfing. And then you looked and saw, oh, Barry is teed off at Beaver Creek.
Yeah. I got to use a chainsaw.
That's pretty cool.
Like, what is it about chainsaws? Like, every guy's got to have one. Like, he just feels more powerful when he has a chainsaw in his hand.
Sammy had never used one. And I just have like a small battery power.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
But it works. Does the stuff for around the small place that we have. And I remember I showed her how to use it. And she cut one limb off. And then all I heard for like hours was, she's like, this is great. I'm like, right?
Yeah, I bugged my wife for years about getting a chainsaw. And then the lilac bush had to come down. I was like, well, you can get a chainsaw because you're going to need one to do that. And yeah.
I don't know.
I ran around like, what could I cut with my chainsaw?
Well, I think the stuff with Sammy, the thing that made me feel really cool was, you get that persona where it's like, no, guys, use the power tools kind of. Like, that's just like a society kind of thing. And then when I see a girl grab it and do it, she's like, I get it. I know why these are so fun. Right. And I was like, yes. So I love that because she worked on, that was at the old house, and she cleared out that whole back hill with that sucker.
Yeah.
But there was a rant about the weather. So we ranted
about the weather. But here we seem like we can rant about the weather anytime.
Yeah, because it's stupid. But yeah, it is 4 p.m. And we only do this for an hour now. So,
yeah.
Because we're getting old. We can't handle 2 hours.
We just don't have enough things to talk about for 2 hours.
Unless something crazy happens. But you've been listening to Average Rants here at KNMC
90.1
FM.
signing off. Your stream will end immediately. You will know